I have a highly addictive personality. So I was addicted to the drugs, but I wasn't ready to give that up. So I just morphed the drug habit into a food habit. Next thing I know, I'm a little guy, 5'7". I ballooned up to 300 pounds. They used to call me 5x5, 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide.
You're listening to the Kristof Lewis Podcast, a podcast where I have conversations with inspirational people. My name is Chris, but my family calls me Kristof. My goal is to have as many conversations as possible with people who have forged their own path by pursuing their dreams, making them a reality, all the while emitting positivity and sharing this knowledge with others. I seek these people out and share this information with you, proving to the world that you can do what makes you happy and do what you want for a living while being a good human being. We'll talk about careers, but we'll also cover any story that inspires. Let's do this while helping each other. Thanks for listening. I'm happy you're here. What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis Podcast, Create Your Career. This is conversation number 159, total episodes number 274. Thank you so much for being here. Never take it for granted. Always appreciative. I have another great guest for you. My guest is Jason Beim. He is a former drug addict, then a former food addict. I love focusing on career transition, so I'm focused on more of how he transitioned out of this. What were his behaviors that led out of this addiction into the success that he's seen now? He's now the founder of Jump Above Boundaries, and that is just some of the things we talk about today. It's just like you can be in a hopeless, desperate place, but you can come out of that. You can create the life that you want, even if you think there's no hope. So that's what Jason has done. He shared it with us. It's not one thing, it's not one addiction, it's two addiction, and there's a lot more things that he shares with us today. So pretty cool, pretty transparent, really powerful. A lot of things to take away from this episode. Remember, you can find this episode and all other episodes on kristoflewis.com/podcast, any kind of podcast app. These conversations, the ones with the guests, are on YouTube. Head over there, subscribe. That's always helpful. And going over and rating on Apple Podcasts or iTunes is also really helpful, as well as sharing with a friend. As I said in the beginning, I always appreciate your support. I appreciate sharing, and it's just so cool to be able to continuously do this. So thank you so much. Without further ado, welcome to the Kristof Lewis Podcast, Create Your Career.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm a huge fan of the podcast. Insanely honored and humbled that you're having me on. You've had monsters on here like Bedros Keuilian, Jeff Nichols, Navy SEALs. I'm just an average Joe. A lot of people are looking at my name and are like, who the hell is this guy? That's exactly what I want you guys to think. I am a nobody. I'm an average Joe. Put my pants on one leg at a time like everybody else.
Yeah, man, that's super humbling to hear. But dude, one of the things about this podcast, because what I saw in myself is that I sold myself short. And even though we may be average Joes, average guys, we're far from it. And I know you're far from it, and you're on the show for a reason. Like, for sure, you're on the show for a reason. We were on the phone the other day. Love what you had to say. Love who you're connected with. Love what you're trying to do. And love what you have done and continue to do. So I would love to get into a little bit of that. But before we get into the rest of the episode, would you mind telling us a little bit more about yourself?
For sure. Thank you for those kind words. And first off, I just want to say I never served. So I just want to say thank you for your service. It's a huge regret of mine, but I'm a huge supporter of the military and the LEO community. So thank you for your service, first off.
Thanks, man.
So my name is Jason Beim, average Joe, like I keep saying. Grew up 25 miles outside of New York City. Every perfect upbringing, great family, white picket fence, you name it. Grew up, and I had this deep-rooted need and desire to be accepted by others. So that, naturally led to sports. I'm not the strongest, the tallest, the fastest, the smartest by any means. I always had to work real hard for what I needed to accomplish. Once sports was done, I was never the starter. So I'm a type A personality. I'm a pit bull. I'm a go guy. And I didn't really like riding the bench in sports. So I needed a new outlet to be accepted. And once sports ended, unfortunately, that led me down some dark roads. That's where the drugs came in. So I was the guy who had to go in deep. And I went down some deep rabbit holes with the drugs. And I was a guy who had to do the most, who had to, buy the drugs for everybody. Got me in with a not so great crowd. I wish I could say there was one defining moment where it was like, aha, I need to stop the drugs, but it really wasn't. Sure. The one moment I could tie it back to was my first girlfriend. I was young, I was dumb, thought I was in love. She said, hey, You need to stop doing drugs or else I'm going to leave you. So I said, okay, let me stop doing drugs. But this is the underlying theme of my entire story here, is that you can't make a change for the better until you're absolutely ready to make a change. So she gave me this ultimatum to stop using drugs. I turned that drug habit into an even worse drug habit for me, and that was food. So I have a highly addictive personality. So I was addicted to the drugs, but I wasn't ready to give that up. So I just morphed the drug habit into a food habit.
Wow.
Next thing I know, I'm a little guy, 5'7". I ballooned up to 300 pounds.
Wow.
They used to call me 5x5, 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide. So I had some really solid friends who were really, helping me out there.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But so yeah, the mind is a tricky thing, because when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see myself as heavy. I was like, man, I'm looking good here. But I knew something was off, because I always needed to budget in extra time. If I was going anywhere, if I was going to class, I needed to budget in an hour at least, because I knew I was going to get winded. I was going to sweat walking up a flight of stairs. That's not normal. So you would think something like that would be my trigger. I'm a little slow. So you think something like that would be my trigger. My trigger was my college graduation picture. I, for 5 years, avoided pictures, avoided the doctor like the plague, because I was in denial. And I saw that picture, and when I could share it with you afterwards.
Sure.
And I was like, holy cow. I knew I was heavy. I didn't know I was that heavy. And from that point forward, a spark changed in me. And I realized that something needed to change. And it was in that moment that I was finally ready to change. God bless my parents. They did everything you could imagine. They tried feeding me healthy foods. They gave me a treadmill. They booked me a trainer. They booked me a weight loss coach. And I'd go to these trainers and these coaches, and they'd be like, why aren't you losing any weight? It's because I was just going through the motions for someone else.
Yeah. It
wasn't until I found my why and I was truly ready to make a change. It wasn't until then that I could truly, truly make a change. And since then, gone on to lose over 130 pounds. Just recently launched my coaching brand called Jump Above Boundaries. I got my shirt on here, Jump Above Boundaries. So the boxing gloves, because life punches you in the face. Jab is a play off my initials, J-A-B, Jason A. Beim, and life jabs you in the face. And we want to jump above those boundaries, any boundaries that are holding you back in life, whether it be mental, physical, emotional. And that's what I'm trying to do with this new coaching brand out there, because I've been to the depths of despair. I've tackled drug addiction. I've tackled weight loss. I have depression and anxiety. And I learned this too late in life, but now those things are not a crutch for me. They're my fuel.
Yeah.
So I want to help people out there to show that, hey, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm not, a tier 1 top level guy, but I'm a tier 1 peak performer in my everyday life. And I want to show people that average Joes can be that tier 1 peak performers in their average day life.
Dude, that's a powerful introduction, bro. That's so good. And I love everything about this. There's so many things going on here. You said there wasn't really a pivotal moment, but it sounds like in that photo that you recognize it. It's crazy, like you said, how the mind is, how you're literally living every day of your life within that body, and you really don't know that something's going on. And it's so crazy, the amount of denial that we build up, and the delusion, and the just all of that stuff that coincides with not really having a grasp on our reality. Well, making a new reality for ourselves of which we want to see. I am glad that you went from drugs to food, but equally it could be detrimental to your life in a plethora of ways for obvious reasons. So it was a theme for a while, and you touched on it, that you were doing things for other people. For your girlfriend didn't want you to be in drugs, and love's a powerful emotion, and at least that worked to get you off the drugs. God knows you could have ended up dead from that. But then you found...
we got a story for that one, actually. We can get into that in a little bit.
But, and you even said, I love that you said it, and I hope everybody picks up, like the whole path. Like your parents trying to help you, trainers trying to help you, but not until you decide it. And that's just one of the things already that I want people to pick up from this podcast and apply to their lives, is you have to make the decision. You have to have the why. Your why needs to be big enough, and you really need to think about that. Like, I'm currently going through that right now myself again, like just trying to figure out my new why and my new just direction that I want to go with my life. So I love that you're able to do that. Furthermore, let's not forget that this is the Create Your Career podcast, and you created something for yourself. You quite literally created a career. I always want to say, go out there. If it doesn't exist, create it, create the path forward. And you did that for yourself with Jump Above Boundaries. And I love the shirt. It looks really cool. You'll have to see it on YouTube, and you can probably see it on your Instagram page and all that other stuff, which we'll have linked in the show notes below. So I definitely recommend you checking out. But man, what a great, like, epitomizing what this show is about. Of from literally the first episode on here over 2 years ago, the guy didn't really like where his life was headed. He understood he wanted to make a change. He had a bigger why, and he flipped it around. And you can too. Like, I'm literally telling you, the listeners, and you and me, because we're still going through this, that you can make the change, and you just have to take responsibility and do it, man. I love that.
Absolutely. And the people out there who think they can't make the change, it's because they kind of lose the forest through the trees. So Robert Collier has a great quote, says, success is a sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. So when I had a goal of losing all the weight, I couldn't just say, hey, I want to lose weight, because being 300 pounds, you need to be specific.
Yeah.
If I went to the bathroom and I peed, great. I could have probably lost 3 pounds. Technically, I lost weight. You know what I mean? But you need to get specific. So you need to get super specific with your goal. So I had an overall overarching goal of that. I wanted to lose weight. And I knew I wanted to lose over 100 pounds. But if I looked at that goal, I would get discouraged every day thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't lose 130 pounds today. So you got to break those down into bite-sized chunks. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you got to get specific with your goals. You have to have an overarching goal, and then you have to break it down. You could have a quarterly goal, a monthly goal, a weekly goal, a daily goal, an hourly goal, a minute goal. And as you stack those wins on top of each other, successive approximation, you stack those wins on top of each other, those days becomes weeks, becomes months, becomes years. Next thing you know, you've reached your overall goal. So a lot of people get so focused on the end goal, they forget about the journey. And the journey is where the most growth is.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, admittedly, I'm struggling through it right now, and you guys, like, listening to this, like, I 100% learn from the people that come onto the show, and I'm learning from you right now, because it's just, like I said, I'm struggling. Like, that's always what I want to portray in this podcast, and I love when you do it, like when the guests do it as well, is that, dude, it's not always simple. Frankly, it's not going to be simple, but that's what separates you. That's what separates you from being that person that you were, and the person who you are now, and the person who you continue to strive to be. But I'm struggling with the definition for myself of finding those super specific goals. I have the plan, like I have an idea, but I don't have a plan on how to get there. And so I'm refining that right now. So, dude, you're helping me right now just by even saying that. And I love how you said even all the way down to the second, like, no shit. If you're in disbelief, and it matters, because I'll tell you when it matters. When I'm getting out of bed in the morning, and if I close my eyes for a second after my alarm goes off, game over, dude. It's not going to happen. You know, I need to be up. No snooze. I'm out of the bed. So there's just so much good coming from this already. So what are some of the kinds of behaviors that started to form within your life? You have this personality. Typically, when I've talked to people with addictions, whether it be drugs and food, and you've talked about both and you've experienced both, and I will tangent for a second and say, you're helping people because you know how to do it. You've lived it, and people will listen to you, because if that's somebody else, like, I don't want to listen to you. You have no idea what you're talking about. You haven't lived it, right? So the fact that you're helping people with what you went through is really powerful. But going forward, out of that, you have the personality, but I was saying, sometimes with addictive personalities, people redirect it. I'm addicted to the drugs, but now I'm addicted to my version of success. I'm addicted to accomplishing these goals. So with that, do you have any other behaviors that have come out of this new version of you, this new person who you've been working so hard to do? What behaviors have led to this version of your success?
That's a great question. And one of the biggest things that I've taken away from this journey is I'm a natural pessimist, so I'm naturally negative. We are being bombarded every way we look with negativity. You have to start your day with something positive.
Yeah.
So if you start the day with a small win, getting up before the alarm goes off, not hitting snooze, jumping out of bed like your ass is on fire, start the day with a positive. And you know what? It's so easy to eliminate the negative. You have to go out and search for the positive a little harder, but it's that sweet nectar at the end that you're going to get, and you're going to gain and get some positivity out of it. There's so much negativity in this world that the main thing I could take away from is one, discipline, and discipline is our main model at Jump Above Boundaries. So I have built out this model with me and my team, and discipline is an acronym, and it's a little long. We don't have to get into each one specifically, but I'll tier 1 peak performers live by this discipline model. And what this model is you dominate, you have integrity, self-accountability, you conquer and overcome anything in your path, internal motivation, you have pride in yourself, you lead yourself and others, you improve always, and these are my 2 favorite: never quit and embrace the suck. So we have gotten to a point in society where if there's any type of adversity, people shy away from it. But it's in those moments when you're wading through the suck is when the most growth happens. You may not think it at that time, but when I go through it, I'll actually bring this back to one of the drug stories, is when I should have realized enough was enough. I went into Harlem, which is like the projects of New York City. Next thing I know, I'm trying to get some drugs, and I'm staring down the barrel of a gun. That point in my life should have been the point where things turned around. But looking back on it now, it's a learning experience for me. I shouldn't have been in Harlem. I shouldn't have been anywhere near Harlem. So, you go through the suck, and if you never quit, you're going to wade through the hard times. You're going to learn. And one of the biggest things that I've taken away from this is the discipline model. You have to be disciplined. I got the Discipline Equals Freedom banner above me from Jocko.
Love that.
I am up at 4:37 every morning. 4:37 on the dot.
It's the minutes, man.
That comes back to the minutes and the seconds. I didn't start waking up at 4:37. I'm not naturally a morning person. I started waking up 15 minutes earlier. That led to a half hour earlier. That led to me waking up at 4:37. Even now, I'm in New York City. I'm stuck inside. Even now, I'm still waking up at 4:37. I have so much extra time. It's unbelievable. And it's a psychological win knowing that I'm up at 4:37 and other people are still sleeping, and I'm working and I'm bettering myself. I'm listening to great podcasts like this one, which I still can't believe you responded to me. So thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, that's so humbling.
I'm reading books. Look at my stack of books here.
Love that.
A huge stack of books. You just got to surround yourself with positivity. I don't listen to the news. I don't watch the news anymore. It's just bettering yourself every chance you get. You have to seek it out because people aren't going to give it to you in this world.
Yeah, dude. There's so much good there, and that's super humbling again for you to say that. And the reading is good too. I love that you brought that up. That's been a huge part of my life. You have to be holistic with your approach. You have to be well-rounded in the sense of taking care of your body and taking care of your mind. And I do love that you put in that bit about you incorporated the minutes again, but you said, you don't have to be somebody that gets up at like 11 or 12, a.m. and then p.m. and then getting up at like 5:30 or 4:30. Like, that's absolutely ludicrous because you're also probably going to bed at like 3 or 4. Cranking it back, just incremental, but being consistent with that discipline, that's where the freedom comes in. And I literally, before this, was telling somebody else on another podcast, I said, my life, because I have so much discipline and because I'm so structured with my morning like that, for me, I get up later at 5:23 though. Yes, 5:23. I get up, but because of that structure, I have more freedom throughout the day because and the other things you said about the starting off your day with a win, starting off your day with positivity, same thing, man, every day. And I know for a fact that it helps me become the person that I want to be and enjoying that journey of which is our lives.
Absolutely. And it goes back to the incremental changes. You don't need to make sweeping changes overnight. It's not the lifetime transformations. It's the product of the daily habits that help you change, right? If we took an example and a pilot was flying from LAX to New York City, if they just adjusted their headwind by 3%, you probably wouldn't even feel it right away. If they just 3%, 3 degrees, you moved it, you wouldn't land in New York, you'd land in Washington, D.C. So if you take that 1% incremental change and extrapolate it over an extended period of time, it's going to result in a force multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
So focus on the daily habits, the minute habits, the second habits, stack those on top of each other. They're going to end up, you're going to have a better day. You're going to be more free. You're going to have more discipline. You're going to be consistent.
Yeah, I think we discount the small things, and I love that we're just beating down the seconds, man, because I think we really discount the small shit. It's like, here's a good example, like fiscal responsibility. So like buying things, like trying to live frugally, especially nowadays, right? If you're like, oh, it's not bad to buy a coffee, or it's not bad to buy this and that, and then you look back on your month expenses, which I hope you're doing, and you see, wow, those 100 small purchases really added up to hundreds of dollars. And even though they were small dollars, but the same thing applies to what you're saying about getting up when you're getting up, and the mentality and the direction of which is your life, whether it be 1 degree, those degrees, the laws of compounding, of course, as we're very familiar with, again, in finances, those things are really important, and they're there for a reason, and people abide by them for a reason. And I think building on to what you said about 1% off is like, dude, you have the power to be able to like stop and breathe, take a deep breath for a moment, and readjust that course, right? So if you are 1 degree off or 3 degrees off, and you are like, shit, I am going to the wrong city, let's course correct. No big deal. No big deal. So lots of great points there, man. I love that you said that. We talk about career transitions a lot. We've definitely nailed that with you. All these things are applicable for that transition. Going from one thing to another. What are the behaviors? What is the mindset? How do you do that? You know, it all starts up here in your head. So I love that you're able to do that. Would you, especially because you're getting into coaching, but are there any type of things that are like, not so away from behaviors, but other things that you help people specifically with to accomplish in their lives? And what is like one of the most profound, or most, not even surprising, I don't want to say surprising, but what is one of the most impactful things that you can tell somebody?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, obviously, with me losing so much weight, naturally, fitness is a big part of what we do at Jump Above Boundaries. But we have all these different areas where we teach you mind hacks, you know, how to be positive, daily affirmations, journaling. We also have a tier 1 peak performance side of the business where we could teach you, you know, tactics on how to be better at your job, how to improve your financial station in life. You know, one of the biggest takeaways I've taken from your podcast was what Jeff Nichols said. And he said, when I boiled it down to it, all my issues, my underlying issues was me. So you have to look at yourself, mind, body, and spirit, as a high performance machine. If you were driving alongside of the road and your tire blew out, would you just wait there helplessly waiting for someone to come fix it? No. Why would you let these emotions and these negative habits fester in your body? You need to fix them. You need to have an active approach and fix them yourself.
Yeah.
And we only get one body. We only have a short amount of time on this earth. We've been blessed and lucky enough to live in the United States. We have it a lot better than most people do. You, of all people, should know that from the places you've been. You know, we need to start taking advantage of these. And I think this quarantine here kind of is acting as a reset. A lot of people realize how good we did have it. And this is really, you know, a little bit of a reset and showing people this is how things are elsewhere, you know? So I'm blessed that we live in this country and we have the freedoms that we do. And as you become more disciplined, you'll become more free. So, you know, come over to Jump Above Boundaries. We'll help you out in every aspect of your life. Me and my team have helped a ton of people, you know, just simple financial savings tips. Like so many people are financially illiterate. I'm a CPA by trade. I work in private equity as part of my day job. So I can help people out a lot in the financial space. You know, we were talking about looking at your expenses. These are all things that help you become a tier 1 peak performer. And, you know, there's this this mythological creature called a Navy SEAL. Everyone loves the tier 1 peak performers, the Delta guys, the CAG guys, right? You can be that in your own life. You
Hell
could
yeah.
be a tier 1 peak performer. Why would you not provide yourself with the tools to become the best version of yourself? We could help you with that.
Yeah, man, that's so funny that I brought up the finance stuff. I had no idea. Or you may have told me, but I completely forgot that your day job was a CPA. And even more so, I love that you have a day job and you're still doing everything like this. And again, like that's what I'm struggling with, being able to find my version of balance within, because I work a day job full time and then I do the podcast amongst other things. So it's tough, man. And dude, you talked about Jeff's podcast. That was one of my favorites this year. That was so powerful. That dude is just
so powerful
in it, man. That if you haven't heard that Jeff Nichols podcast, I mean, he blew me away. One of my favorite ones, and it's really you're talking about, you got the Jocko thing behind you, discipline equals freedom. It's ownership, right? It's taking responsibility, that extreme ownership for the things in your life. And he said it just all boiled down to me, is what Jeff was saying in that episode, and really it does. I mean, I would challenge everybody to just think after this podcast and just like sit down and think about all of your problems. Like, I would say outside of COVID, right? Because COVID right now, there's some things that are out of control, but in a sense, even that is within your control, because if you allow yourself to be within the confines, within the control of that, your happiness, if something is in your head is depending on something outside of your head, that's wrong, right? So we may not be able to do the things that we used to do, but you're damn right. We're lucky, especially here in the States, about what we do have. But you can still do tons of things within your house. If you can go into your neighborhood and exercise, do whatever you can outside. There are still so many things you can do. So typically when we peel back the layers of the onion, we do see, like Jeff said and what Jocko says about taking ownership, and what Jason just said right here, is that that's all right. What's in your head, you have control of, and you need to take ownership and responsibility for that to be able to move forward. And I tell you what, man, you can't start helping other people until you get that shit straight in your own head.
I couldn't agree more. And that's why I kind of wanted to start this whole thing, because I've been through a lot of adversity. And like I keep saying, I'm just an average Joe. And I think people will resonate with that because, sometimes it's difficult to relate to, military guys or athletes.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal guy. I go to work every day. I pay my bills just like everyone else. There's nothing special or extraordinary about me. I've just overcome some things and I've worked through them. And I think I can help a lot of people. And going back to quarantine, if you're not using this time to better yourself, you're going to be left behind, because there's people out there who are taking advantage of this time, reading books, watching podcasts, listening to webinars, instead of sitting on their butts and watching Tiger King. And now I'm not going to lie, I did watch Tiger King just like probably the rest of the world. But, the first 2 weeks of the quarantine, I was falling back into my own habits. I was not exercising. I was playing the woe is me, the victim card. I was eating everything in sight. And then I finally got to a point where I was like, what are you doing? You are going against everything that you preach right now. Yeah. And I'm not going to coach someone on something that I don't practice and preach every day in my everyday life. So what did I do? All the gyms are closed. I went out and I got a piece of gym equipment, and now I'm doing exercises every day in my little apartment. You got to make do with what you have. And now is a better time. There's never been a better time to better yourself. Make those small incremental changes, make good habits, become daily habits. Those will stack on each other and you'll have life transformations. It's really not hard. So when you boil it down to it, it comes down to the second. Habits every second, and then you'll become a better person for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say though, like those people, like the people like in the military you're talking about, or whatever background it is. It's like, I was just thinking as you're saying, I was like, you Jason, and whoever's listening, you are what makes you special though. Like we say, those guys are more like, I don't want to say celebrities, but people know about those careers, right? People know about them. That's it. People may not know about you until now. People may not know about me until this episode right here. But the thing is like, what, again, going back into what you have control, you have ownership of what's in your head, how you perceive yourself. And frankly, it doesn't give a shit. It doesn't matter what other people perceive you as. Like, you need to get it, again, you needed to get it together in your head And you need to convince yourself, even before you start doing things, that you are special, that you are somebody that has what it takes to do what you want to do. Because if you don't believe in yourself, I mean, God, that's the old adage, right? If you don't believe that you can do it, you're not going to do it. It's that simple. If you believe you can do it, you will do it. And I'm going to bring Roger Bannister into here yet again. He's on my wall in my gym, and I love that he broke the 4-minute mile, if you guys don't know. And then magically since then, 20,000 people, including kids in high school, have broken a 4-minute mile. How has that happened? They didn't believe that they could break a 4-minute mile, and then here we are. He does it, and the rest is history, man. So you are breaking your own version of the 4-minute mile right now, Jason, with what you're doing in your own life, unique to you. And that's what I want to reiterate through your story, that it's unique to you, and people need to they can pull little bits and pieces from what I'm saying, bits and pieces of what you're saying. They need to apply it to their lives, or I would never tell somebody they need to do something, but it's my best opinion.
That's a great point. And the turning point for me was when I stopped living for other people and I started living for myself, because I was always the guy who cared so much about what other people thought of me. And that's a societal issue we have today in life, is just, we're living for other people. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're scrolling through social media. Social media could be a blessing and a curse. I literally went through and I did a positivity audit on the people I followed, and I unfollowed probably about 75% of the people I was following because 1, it didn't better me, and 2, it was just negativity, or 3, I didn't even know who the people were and I didn't know why I was following them. So you really need to do that in every aspect of your life. All I need to do is look at the 5 people you hang out with, and I'll tell you exactly who you are. A lot of people hold on to people, places, and things a little bit too long because they're comfortable. Sometimes you got to cut bait if it's not positively affecting you. And a lot of people are living for other people. Once I stopped living for other people and started loving myself, that's important. You can't love anyone else until you love yourself first. Once I started loving myself, that's when I became enlightened, and I'm firing on all cylinders right now.
Ooh. That's some fire to end on, man. That's real good. That's like one of those episodes that just boom flies by. I know we could go for double the time, easy day, man. Before we get out of here, let everyone know where they can find you and what you're doing.
Awesome. So you can find me. My personal is It's Beim Time on Instagram. Most of my social media is on Instagram. The business page is Jump Above Boundaries. We're really in its infancy right now. We're still building out the model, but me and my team can help you out with whatever you need. What's good about us is we're small, we're nimble, we're a small team. We could really do anything that's customizable to any of your needs. We could be an accountability coach. We could be a motivational coach. Shoot, I'll call you and text you at 4:37 every morning to tell your ass to get out of bed and get to the gym. Whatever you need, we're here for you. And I got a little something for your listeners. The first 5 people who DM me and follow me on the Jump Above Boundaries page, you're going to get a free 30-minute consultation call, see if we can work together. And then if we do end up working together, you're going to get one of these limited edition jab shirts. So that's for the first 5 people who follow me on the Jump Above Boundaries page, and we'd love to help you. All I'm really trying to do now is spread the positivity and help those average people become tier 1 peak performers.
Dude, I absolutely love that. So you guys, if you don't remember all that, don't worry. Either rewind or check out the show notes. All that information will be in there, the websites, the Instagrams, the who's it, what's it, or whatever. You'll be able to find it all. Jason, thank you so much for being here, man. This was seriously packed from start to finish. Really good. Cannot wait to go back and listen to this one and release it to the world. All of the goodness, man. Thanks so much and have a great night.
Can't wait, man. Thank you so much for having me on. You're doing great things out there. Can't wait to listen to this.
But I wasn't grown up in my